When people come and see me for private instruction, the number one thing they usually are complaining about is that they have no consistency. Probably you're in the same boat. That's why you're here watching YouTube videos. You're very inconsistent with your striking, with your direction. Well, the problem is that you're setting up and you're practicing for inconsistency. Let's simplify things right after this, and let's fix something in your setup that's causing golf to be much, much harder than it really is. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I continue my journey to hit the ball longer and straighter than I ever have before. I hope to show you how to do it too. All right, I've got 3 clubs here. I've got a 3-iron, a 7-iron, and a 56-degree sand wedge. It's amazing how people, I never see this tip covered at all anywhere, and it's just gonna make your life so much simpler when you apply it. You see, I see a lot of people, almost everybody, even the pros on TV could improve from this. They line up with no forward lean. The club is lined up straight with the leading edge like this, so neither forward or backwards lean, but they expect to have forward lean at impact. You know, all those hundreds and hundreds of videos there are on YouTube about how to get forward lean and get your divot in front of the ball, right? Well, you're already gimping yourself. You're making it so much more complicated than it could be. If you're trying to find some variable in the middle of a 100-mile-an-hour or 80-mile-an-hour swing, it's going to be really, really tough to consistently do it the same. So if we want 5 inches of forward lean at impact, why wouldn't you start at address with 5 inches of forward lean? Then you just simply have to return back to where you started. What makes it even more complicated is then let's add in a 7-iron here. Now, a 7-iron, I like to have about 3 inches of forward lean. Let's do it a little bit extra for the camera so you can just see the effect here, leaning the shaft forward like that. Let's say the sand wedge is 5 inches ahead forward leaning, and the 7-iron is 3 inches forward ahead. The only difference here is the ball position, both closer to me with the sand wedge and further back. But notice that the handles come together in exactly the same spot. So I just have to set the machine, the body, down exactly the same, and I'm already set. All I've got to do now is just return back to where I started from, which is here. And the complication is, if I'm going to line up straight like this, I've got to find 5 inches on a sand wedge to hit it good. On a 7-iron, if I line up straight, I've got to find 3 inches further ahead. Now, how on earth are you going to differentiate that with an 80 or a 90 or 100-mile-an-hour swing eventually when you get to a longer club? Even if you're swinging slowly, it's still going to be 70 miles an hour with a 7-iron, probably, even if you're a shorter hitter. So there's no way you're going to be able to find magically. What about the 8-iron? It'll be 3.5 inches. What about a 9-iron? 4 inches. Pitching wedge, 4.5 inches. You're telling me that magically you're going to pull that exact forward lean right out of your hat, and you're going to change it. So you're going to go from a certain feel at address to a certain feel at impact. Impossible. Let's go on and we'll check out the 3-iron now. Maybe you've got a hybrid, and this will probably be in the same category as a hybrid. Of course, the club is longer, so I have it set further out for me. But again, notice the handles of the club are all ending up in the same exact spot. Now, I like to see about 1 inch of forward lean on a 3-iron. And this way, I can just start with 1 inch ahead, and I try to come back down the same way I started again, which is a much easier thing to do. I'm covering, not only am I simplifying what I've got to do during the downswing, but I'm eliminating this massive variability. It just makes golf so much harder than it has to be. So you can see how I've got all my bases covered here. Let's move these clubs into the sweet spot, just like that. And notice they all line up right here, about left thigh pointing up to my left hip, something like that, with my straight left arm here. Now this all leads you into the constant. Another constant. Let's get rid of variables and we'll make more constants instead, is that we want the low point of every swing to be right there. Now, where is that relative to anatomy? That's going to be maybe at the heel or just inside the heel. Now, there's my sand wedge. So now I've got my correct ball position. I've got my correct forward lean. I'm literally going to set the handle of the club on the line that I intend to be my low point, like that. And sure enough, that club is going to bottom out. If I just return to my 5-inch forward lean, the club is going to return and it's going to bottom out right on that line. So this way, you've eliminated all kinds of different variables. You've simplified things. Now all you got to control is one point. I'm going to take every club in my bag and I'm going to bottom out right there on that line just inside the heel. This is going to cover my forward lean. It's going to cover the correct angle of attack, the correct use of the slightly different design of every club, and it's going to leave room to hit up on my driver if I put the driver in front of the low point with maybe even a little bit of backwards lean on a driver. Hit the ball nice and high and flat and make it go the farthest with a nice, healthy, upwards angle of attack. So, take this away. Let's hit this sand wedge. You'll see how, I'll run it back in slow-mo and you're going to see how I'm simply going to line this up with the correct amount of forward lean. Notice the club handle is right about the middle of my thigh from your perspective. And at impact, you're going to see it's going to be right back there in the same spot again. Here we go. Looking back at that in slow motion, you can see at impact, I still had about the same amount of forward lean as I did at address, and that helped me hit the turf correctly, hit the ball first, turf second, have my wrist in the correct position, have forward lean, all those magic words that they're throwing around on YouTube these days. So again, take the variability out of the method. Make it as simple as possible. This is one easy way to pick up a lot more consistency with your striking of the turf, your ball flight, everything. One swing, one setup for all clubs. Don't have to keep finding variables somewhere in your downswing. Hey, give it a try. It's not hard to learn. If you have any feedback or questions, leave them down in the comments. For more content like this, I hope you'll like and subscribe. I'm Steve. Head over to my website, hititlonger.com, for over 100 more great video tips and articles that I'm sure are going to make your golf game better. And if I don't see you in the next video, I hope I see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.